And now for our feature presentation.
You're listening to the JB and Goldwater Show. Live, loud, and online.
Puts it up. There goes Davis. Oh my God! Davis is going running all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. American football. It's finally the one. American football has won the Triple Crown. And Bonds hits way high. It's a deep. It is high fly ball into right field. She is gone. Unbelievable! A home run for Gibson, and the Tigers have won the game 5-4. I don't believe what I just saw.
Here are your hosts, Jamie Bradford and Darren Goldwater.
All right, greetings and a good Thursday afternoon, and welcome aboard the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online on the Podbean app, where you can listen to us daily. If you do so, thank you very much. We appreciate that. And we are also available on YouTube, available on Twitter, available on Facebook with our video. You can watch us every day between 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock. Here on the JB and Goldwater Show. Darren Goldwater, Jamie Bradford, welcome aboard. Hey, man.
Nice haircut, dude.
Well, Carrie hates it. Like when I trim, I get them to cut the sides a lot, and she didn't necessarily do it the way I exactly wanted, but it's okay. I didn't cut anything off the top. I walked out the door and realized I don't think I brought a hat today, which I always wear a hat. I forgot one.
I got a Nationals visor up there. You sure?
No.
I got a Penn State one.
No.
I mean, I got options.
It's okay. I appreciate it, but no. The answer is no. I just happened to forget today. That's okay.
I mean, you just want to show off the new do. That's
No.
understandable.
No, I usually like to cover it up, but not today.
Okay, fair enough.
Not today. Skylar Meade, he'll join us at 12:30 today. He is the pitching coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks, and his top arm was taken last night in the Major League Baseball draft, the 15th Gamecock ever to be drafted in the first round, and the first pitcher to go in 3 years, Clark Schmidt, the last one to be drafted, also a right-hander. He is in the Yankees organization now. Carmen Mlodzinski is in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization. So we're going to talk to Skylar about Carmen and some potential other names that we could see come off the board tonight in what is the final day of the Major League Baseball draft, set to begin at 5 o'clock on ESPN2. And also, we'll get his thoughts on what we heard yesterday, which we'll get to here in just a little bit. Some of the changes for this year in college baseball to accommodate COVID-19, the pandemic that we have been dealing with throughout the majority of the season. We'll also get his thoughts on some of the other players that were drafted last night. And I say other players, like that's not a big deal. Some of the other superstars that went, a lot of SEC guys, There's, I don't think, any question that the two best leagues in college baseball are right here in our state, the SEC and the ACC. Tons of names, tons of arms out of those leagues. Skylar's seen a lot of them, and so we're going to get his thoughts on all that stuff. You'll really enjoy this conversation. We've got some detailed stuff to talk about with Skylar Meade, again, the pitching coach at South Carolina. Scott Glaze, he's at 1:30 today. He's the golf pro at Stono Ferry. Golf is back. And here's some really good news. And I agree with the guy that tweeted this. I retweeted it. I agree with his little shot at the end of his tweet here. This gentleman's name is Nick Kyle. He is he's an in-game host for the Nashville Predators, also a host of the Cover 2 college football podcast. He also does some work with Athlon Sports, 929 The Game in Atlanta. I'm going to read this tweet. Not one single positive COVID-19 test at the Colonial for the PGA Tour returning today. 487 people tested, players, caddies, and essential personnel. Hardly any media coverage of it. 0 for 487. He says, geez, wonder why. It was because there wasn't a positive test. But he's right. They should cover this. There was not a positive test at the Colonial, and that is great news for golf.
That's fantastic news. And it's not the news out of Alabama where three more football players have tested positive.
Yeah, I think that's 8.
Yeah, there were 5 and now 3. Yeah.
So to be clear, those 3 were not, like, these weren't retested players of the 5 that already. So these are just 3 more. Okay, all right. So you got 8 in quarantine now in Tuscaloosa, but so yeah, it's going to be different. It's going to be different everywhere. There's some teams have none. Tennessee didn't have a single one. As far as I know, from what I heard, I was texting with somebody yesterday. South Carolina has not had one. I don't think Clemson has had one, but Alabama's got 8. Which, honestly, Darren, that's if you had 5. These 3 easily could have interacted with those guys at some point in time, and that's where they got it from, right? So we don't know, but
there's a really cool article, and I put it up. I retweeted it. It's from The Athletic, so it's on JB and Goldwater, the Twitter page. It is covering Oklahoma State. Remember how often we've talked about what happens when players test positive and what plans are in place and what will happen next? Great article in The Athletic about what is happening at Oklahoma State, the plans that were in place, and what measures are being taken. And the reason you only know of really one name is because of HIPAA laws. You're not going to know names. And it's up to the schools to say if we have X amount of numbers. But the reason one name out there is because he tweeted at. He said, I went to a protest and now I came back and I tested positive. But I'm not going to break it all down for you because I would imagine most schools have similar plans in place. But go read this thing on The Athletic about 14 days and how they're separating them and going through people those who've tested positive for have come in close contact with. Very, very insightful stuff from Oklahoma State.
Okay. I have not read that. I will read that myself. We also have a little bit of an update on Zion Williamson today. Could John Calipari be headed to the NBA? There's a column out on that.
Again.
Paul Feinbaum, we'll get to this in a little while. Paul Feinbaum says that Nick Saban must win the title this year. I don't agree with that.
Or what?
Or like the end of an era. Or basically, you might be this might be almost it for Nick Saban. I'm not even close to that. But that's look, Paul does a good job. Paul, this is why Paul does a good job because of that right there. But I disagree with him. So we'll try to get to that here in just a little while as well. We're definitely going to get to NASCAR. Bubba Wallace did not finish in the top 10 last night. A lot of eyes on his car, but his car did run at Martinsville. And if you didn't watch it, Martin Truex Jr. wins the race last night. And also some good news for the future of NASCAR. A couple of races have announced that they're going to allow some fans in the stands. And we're going to tell you where and when that will be. 843-321-8893 is our phone number. If you're watching, if you're listening, and you'd like to call, you can do that just by picking up your phone and dialing 843-321-8893. Or if you're listening on the Podbean app, you can also hit the call button there. Lots of ways to access our program. There's chat rooms and all these little gadgets that Darren uses. So if you're in one of those little chat rooms, I have no idea what you're saying, but thank you. We certainly appreciate that. All right, so let's get to the draft. Let's go ahead and slide over into what we saw last night. Only 5 rounds this year, but they do have comps and sups. So you've got some of these teams who have some picks because they didn't sign kids from the year before, so they'll get that all included in these 5 rounds here. When we say there's 5 rounds, there are 5 rounds, but you have comps and sups. And that's how you get some additional players.
Subs would be supplemental picks if you're not hip to the lingo.
Yeah, supplemental picks. I'm sorry. As I mentioned a moment ago, Carmen Majinski did go 31st overall last night, and he is now a Pittsburgh Pirate. So congratulations to him. Also, we saw 3 of the top 5 picks out of the SEC. It's the first time ever that a conference has had 3 of the top 5 picks. This is a really neat little nugget, and of course I jotted this down because it does include the Gamecocks. It doesn't necessarily represent the success of any of these programs, but it's cool. 6 schools had players selected in the first round of both the 2020 NFL Draft and the Major League Baseball Draft, and South Carolina is one of them.
Really?
Yeah, because Javon Kinlaw and Carmen Majinski. But the 6 schools are Arizona State, Georgia, Louisville, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Auburn. Pretty neat.
That is pretty impressive. Arizona also had the top collegiate broadcaster this year. He won what's called the Jim Nantz Award. Yeah,
that's probably a pretty good award there.
it's a prestigious award. It sure is.
Very nice. Arizona State also had the number 1 pick in the draft last night. Mr. Torkelson, who's headed to the big leagues, who can flat out swing it. So. Yeah, how much of the draft did you watch?
I watched a good bit of it. The Nationals didn't pick till 21 or 22, so I watched a decent amount. I liked it. It was all formatted really kind of after the NFL draft, and MLB sent these prospects very similar to what the NFL did. These broadcasting packs for their house. So it was a phone. It was something called a ring light that just goes around your phone and lights stuff up a little bit. But I thought it was nice and genuine. You see these guys' reaction with their families, and then some of the highlights from their playing days. So I enjoyed it. It was good to watch something tangible, something actually real and happening in sports. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's no doubt. And I've been with somebody before when they got drafted, and it's a pretty neat. I don't know the feeling myself, but it's pretty neat to see what you just mentioned a second ago. You kind of feel it off of those guys. You're like, man, wow, dream come true, and welcome to Major League Baseball. As I mentioned just a minute ago, the Tigers, number 1 overall, did take Spencer Torkelson, the first baseman out of Arizona State. He's a stud. Probably not going to be in minor league baseball for long. This kid's destined to the big leagues pretty quickly.
And I wonder what happens now. You know, something we should have, I guess, asked Corey McCartney yesterday. When these guys get drafted, typically, like we're in the College World Series right about now. But then after that, they end up getting shipped off to like rookie ball or something like that shortly thereafter. There is none of that.
Right.
So what happens to these guys in the summer now?
Yeah, that's what I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll ask Skylar here in about 15 minutes what Carmen's plans are going to be. That slot pick, by the way, last night for Spencer Torkelson, $8.4 million, $8,415,300 would be the bonus for that selection. At number 2 overall, I really, really, really like this pick. And look, if you're not a big college baseball guy and you don't know who some of these names are, just hang tight. Darren and I will be able to fill you in a little bit here. But Heston Kjerstad, the right fielder from Arkansas, Baltimore, I think took him higher than a lot of people maybe thought he was going to go.
Yes.
But this kid can flat out swing it. And I remember just a couple of years ago when the Gamecocks went to Arkansas in a super regional. And we're going to talk to Skylar in just a minute about Heston Kjerstad. And in South Carolina, I think this was Coach Kingston's first year in Columbia. And they made it out of the regional. I think they went to East Carolina and won that regional, and then had to go to Fayetteville and take on Arkansas, who I believe was maybe the 4 seed in the country at the time. And that was the first time I had known who he was, but I watched him for 3 games and was truly introduced to the bat of Heston Kjerstad. Whew, man. This kid, he can just hit. I mean, he's got it all figured out.
Yep.
Essentially, he's got a nice load. That front leg comes off the ground, and everything is well timed. Hit .395 with Team USA last summer.
That's strong.
It's really good. So Baltimore has got a good one there. He's going to be a corner outfielder, and I'm sure he'll be up pretty much in no time. Minnesota's Max Meyer, right? He goes 3rd overall to Miami. A lot of folks comparing him to Walker Bueller, which is probably a pretty good name to be compared to.
Absolutely is.
Asa Lacy, the lefty out of Texas A&M, went 4th overall last night to Kansas City. And just this year, even though the season ended early, 3-0 to start the season, that wasn't the big number. The big number was the little one, .75 earned run average for Lacy, 46 Ks and only 24 innings before the season was halted. But he is now a first-rounder. The 5th overall pick was Vanderbilt's third baseman, Austin Martin, and this kid can swing it too. Hit .392 as a sophomore last year up at Vanderbilt. That's impressive in the SEC. And he's going to go to Toronto and as a third baseman. The Mariners took Georgia righty Emerson Hancock. This kid's big. I've seen him pitch, and he throws about 100 miles an hour.
I mean, velo's where it's at.
I mean, he throws gas, and he's going to Seattle, and the ball does not fly there. So he'll do well there.
Quick thing on Austin Martin, who went to the Jays. Yesterday, Corey McCartney was agreeing with many, many experts that it was probably going to be Martin at 1 or 2, and that didn't happen. He fell down to 5. It was Torkelson and
Kjerstad.
Well, yeah, but the thought was it would be Martin or Torkelson 1-2 either way.
Oh, okay.
And then and then Kjerstad ended up jumping up the 2 for the Orioles.
Well, the thing about Kjerstad, I think, so Martin's a hell of a defender too, and Kjerstad can play. I mean, he's defensively he's pretty good, but he's not an elite guy. I mean, in the so I don't, I'm almost wondering if they might even try to move him to first base. I'm almost wondering that because he's not an elite corner outfielder. He can play, but he's not an elite guy. I don't know that you would consider him, I don't know that you would consider him one of the better big league corner outfielders once he gets there. So he's in Baltimore. When does the Davis contract finally end? They can't get out of that fast enough.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think there's still a few more years on that one.
That might have been the thinking there. Is we're going to draft this kid, we'll teach him to play first base, and he'll take over for Chris Davis in the future.
That could be.
But who knows? Nick Gonzalez, this is a good pick. The Pirates get Nick Gonzalez at 7. He's a second baseman out of New Mexico State, and his numbers are ridiculous. I mean, this year, before the season got stopped, he was hitting .448 in college baseball. New Mexico State's a good program. People, it's college baseball. It's different from football and basketball.
Yes.
New Mexico State is a good program. They play a lot of really good teams. He was hitting .450.
Yeah, that's good.
He's a career 399 hitter in college.
I mean, that's the number that's more impressive. The career number, even though it's not as high, that's a bigger chunk of games, right? A much bigger sample of games than a shortened season this year when he could have just been hot to start the year.
Oh, I've heard people talk about the kid as kind of a cross between like Dustin Pedroia and Alex Bregman. Just has the tenacity of Pedroia, kind of that battle type, underdog mentality every day, but also has the stick of a kid like Bregman who played at LSU. If you're a combination of those two players, you're going to be in the big leagues for a while.
Oh, yeah.
But that was a really good pick there. High school kid goes 8th overall out of Tennessee. His name is Robert Hasselt. The only thing about him, he goes to the Padres at 9. The Rockies took Zach Veen, a center fielder, also a high school kid who had been committed to play for Florida, but that's not going to be the case now because the 9th overall pick is slotted at a shade under $5 million.
Not turning that down.
Zach Veen is gone. Yeah. They're not going to get him in Gainesville. And then at 10, Reed Detmers, the lefty out of Louisville, goes to the Angels. So I was texting with Skylar about Reed Detmers this morning, and he'll expand on this kid a little bit more here in just a minute. So I texted. Well, I wasn't texting about Detmers actually. Detmers is a lefty,
okay,
and the other kid, the Miller kid that played for Louisville at the same, or who's been with Detmer, they've been 1 and 2 Friday, Saturday for the last couple of years. Went later in the draft. What number? I'm trying to remind myself of what number this was. Hold on, just give me a second. I'm scrolling through it. Bobby, 29 to the Dodgers. So I texted Skylar this morning. This kid's big. He's a 6'5" kid. We'll have to get McDonald on the show soon. Coach Mack has had these guys. So I texted him this morning. I said, that kid, the Louisville kid, is going to be in the big leagues for a while. totally forgot the Detmers went 10th overall, and I'm talking about Miller. And
Yep.
but I didn't realize. So he texted me back and said, "Are you talking about Miller or Detmer? Because I think Miller is the steal of the draft." And I said, "Yes, I said Miller, but hey, there's a lefty who went 10th overall, and I'm talking about the guy that went 29th, Dodgers. And this kid sits at like 97, 98. I mean, he just throws gas. He's a righty. Everything has downward movements. Really heavy ball. So it's you know, if you remember how Randy Johnson, he was big, but it was really heavy. Like Kurt Schilling, everything he threw was really heavy. It was just a heavy ball. You kind of picture that where it's hard, but when you're standing in there, not only does it look hard, it looks like it just disappears.
Yep.
So I was talking about the kid, and it reminded me of the other kid, and I'm like, holy, Louisville might have won the national championship this year with these two guys going 1-2. Because the Detmer dude is a lefty and very polished. I mean, he's a big leaguer. He will be up. He'll be up by next year, and this kid probably will be too. But can you imagine that these two guys were your top two guys, and the season got stopped? Dan McDonald probably wanted to pull what Harry has left out.
But I mean, it speaks to the job also that McDonald has done. I mean, Louisville is now year in and year out. I mean, they're the Clemson, Alabama type of college baseball.
Yeah, they're there.
Yeah,
I'm kind of surprised they haven't won one yet. They don't have much success in Omaha. They get up there and generally I think the most they've played is 3 games. They've either been 2 and out or 1 and 2.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. They just haven't hung around much. It's weird.
Huh?
It's weird.
I didn't realize that. I thought they'd gone deeper.
No, they might have maybe 1 year, but usually, like when South Carolina goes, all you got to do is look at their record. They're always they advance. I think maybe there's been 1 or 2 years I can remember where they went like 3 games or 4 games and came home. Outside of that, generally they get to the championship.
Yep.
I mean, they've been 6 times this century, and 4 of the 6 times they've played in the title.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Clemson, usually, they advance through. There's a lot of teams that advance through, but like Louisville and Florida State struggle in Omaha. I mean, Florida State's been there more times than anybody and never won it.
Yeah.
So
the only stain for Martin, really, is that he didn't win.
That's right. 25th overall, the Braves took Jared Schuster last night, a lefty out of Wake Forest, who is a pretty good story because he had the stuff, but like wasn't very good his first 2 years. His ERA was just like a shade under 7.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked that up this morning because I did recall his story a little bit, and the fact that I knew that he really had a coming out party this year as a junior. And he was, but prior to, was sitting like 88 to 92. Good stuff, but not a first rounder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then he went to the Cape, and he came back, and he was hitting 97.
Look what I found.
And they're like, oh, okay. So the Braves went the college route and got this kid. Here, we're not gonna go through the whole list here, but let me kind of summarize this a little bit. If you go through, Darren, any, whether you go to MLB.com or ESPN or wherever you want to get your information on all these kids, one of the things that you're going to see in the majority of these notes from the college kids is information, not necessarily always statistics. A lot of them have statistics, but not always. But you have quality information from their time in the Cape. Mm-hmm. And in addition to what they did at collegiate level with their respective programs, specifically if you play in a league that's really good, like the SEC, the ACC, the Pac-12, teams like that, they're incredibly well respected in baseball. Not taking a shot at some of these other leagues, but all you got to do is look at the draft and see all these arms and stuff. But there's a reason why they take the Cape stuff. I mean, that's what happened to Carmen Majinski. Carmen goes up to the Cape and dominates. And couldn't necessarily always find the strike zone in Columbia, but they saw his floor raise, which also would raise his ceiling by what he did in the premier wood bat league in the country, which means so much. Right? You know the Cape very well, so when you do your research on these prospects, I think it's. The smart thing to do is consider their summer league numbers, especially if they play in Cape Cod, because they're playing against the best players in the country with the ultimate equalizer, which is what they're going to do the rest of their lives, play against the wooden bat.
That's right. I mean, the Cape goes a long way. That's the best of the best from all around all around college baseball. You
Yeah.
only get invited there if you're the best of the best.
Well, I mean, Noah Campbell, again, Schuyler's coming up. I mean, Noah might go tonight. He might. I don't know if he will, but he might. And if Noah Campbell goes in the top 5 rounds, who's, I mean, the last couple of years, if you've watched anything that has to do with South Carolina baseball, you find out quickly he hasn't really had a home defensively. Like, came to Columbia as a second baseman, but they moved him to the outfield, but he can still play second.
Right.
You know, I think there was even a game maybe a year or two ago where they had to plug him in at short just because of substitutions and stuff like that late in the game. And so he can kind of play everywhere, but he's not really polished out there for some reason. And then on the offensive side, you're like, this guy just hasn't cut it in the SEC yet, but somehow hitting 330 in the Cape with a wood bat. You know, I don't know what all that entails. You know, is he bunting for a hit? Is he beating out a lot of, you know, broken back ground balls, essentially? I don't know. I'm sure it has a little to do with both. But you know, the fact that he's even considered a top 5 rounder right now is because of what he did up there.
Well, yeah, and remember, we talked about this a long time ago, and part of it was pandemic related. Like, this would have been a really big year for him to show what he can do
No
in
doubt.
the SEC. So without that, then right now the scouts really just have to go on assumption in some ways and what they've seen in the Cape. They have to balance what they've seen there with the inconsistencies in Columbia and try and figure out what side of the fence they stand on.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. This is the one sport where you have essentially 2 draft grades, right? Like, you have Darren Goldwater, the ACC player, and then Darren Goldwater, the Cape Cod player.
Yeah.
And then your job, I mean, for these top guys.
Yeah, yeah.
And, or, you know, even a lot of the others who play in the Coastal Plains League, they go up and play in that league in Minnesota. What is that? Is that the Northwoods League? I think it's the Northwoods League.
Yeah.
It's the Northwoods League, right?
Yes. There's a Northwoods League up there. Is it only Minnesota?
No, I don't. Minnesota, Wisconsin, maybe
Up there.
like near the lake.
Yeah.
It's apparently a beautiful. I know a kid who played up there years ago. I haven't talked to him in years, but anyways, you know, all these wood bat leagues that they play in the summer, you essentially get 2 grades of who you are, and then these scouts have a difficult job. You know, they got to figure out, all right, is this kid that kid, or is he this kid? And, but, you know, a lot of these guys, you know, the game correlates to each. But you would think, though, like in the case of Noah Campbell, you would think you're gonna swing it better with aluminum than you're going to swing it better with wood. I mean, there's a reason why youth leagues use aluminum bats as opposed to wood bats.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to hit with a wood bat. Costs a hell of a lot more.
That's right.
But, you know, you see guys like Noah, and I'm not taking anything away from this young man. He's a great kid. But, like, struggles with aluminum and then goes to the Cape and hits over 300 against the best arms in the country.
Maybe he just hits better with wood. Who knows?
I don't know.
Some of the names of these teams of the Northwood League: the Green Bay Bullfrogs, the Madison Mallards, the Bismarck Larks.
So there's some real travel up there.
Eau Claire Express, St. Cloud Rocks. Well,
But you just
the
said,
Woodchuck, Wisconsin Woodchucks.
I think that's who Brandon, the kid I know that played. I think that's where he played. The Woodchucks, that name.
The Fond du Lac Dock Spiders.
Yeah, I never heard of that. I don't like dock spiders. So you said Green Bay, Bismarck, like North Dakota.
Yep.
And then what'd you say?
It's 22 teams.
It's a big league.
Yeah, there are 2 divisions: Great Lakes Division and the Great Plains Division. So,
okay.
So yeah, some probably hunkered around the Great Lakes and others out on the plains.
Yeah, give me the Great Lakes teams. I'd rather be there. It's 12:29 on a rainy Thursday afternoon here in the low country of South Carolina. The JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online. Scott Glaze on golf at 1:30 today, but we need to hit a timeout. When we return, our friend Skylar Mead, he's the pitching coach who knows a hell of a lot more than we do about this stuff of the South Carolina Gamecocks. He'll join us on Carmen Majinski. Other Gamecocks maybe expected to be taken tonight. A synopsis on the rest of the draft. We'll also ask him about some of the changes forthcoming in college baseball to help the sport amidst this pandemic. Hang tight, and we'll be right back.
DB's Cheesesteaks, the tastiest, juiciest, and now award-winning cheesesteaks in the Low Country. DB's Cheesesteaks delivers, and not just in quality. Download DoorDash, Uber Eats, or your delivery app of choice and have it dropped off at your doorstep. Original chicken, buffalo chicken, even pizza cheesesteaks, not to mention incredible cheeseburgers, massive hot dogs, and dynamite hoagies. It's all there for you and your family. DB's Cheesesteaks in West Ashley. dbscheesesteaks.com.
What's up, guys? It's JB. Obviously, things have been kind of crazy with the coronavirus taking over our lives. We're stuck inside with family, finding ways to be creative and probably tapping the liquor cabinet a little bit. If you don't have Patrick Davis's Whiskey Jam in yours, put on your mask and gloves and head to Bottles or Burris liquor stores here in Charleston. The Blackberry is my personal favorite on the rocks, but the original Whiskey Jam is Patrick's. So either way, you're winning with Whiskey Jam. WhiskeyJam.com, PatrickDavis.com.
Honey Baked Ham in Somerville and in Mount Pleasant is your home for catering and lunch. Honey Baked Somerville, owned by former Gamecock right-hander Mike Cisco, is just off the interstate and they are ready to cater to your next business or family meal. Plus, drop in for an incredible sandwiches daily for lunch. The Mount Pleasant location is at the foot of the Ravenel Bridge and always ready to serve and cater to your next meals as well. Plus, delivery is available. Honeybake.com to find your menu today.
As businesses start to open up around South Carolina, we have Ryan Nelson back in here to tell us about Dog and Duck Family Pubs, the 3 locations, and some new hours going on. What's up?
That's right. We now offer indoor dining and patio seating outside. The new hours are Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and then Friday, Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. now. Slowly getting back into the normal routine, or so what we think, and we hope everybody comes out and supports local businesses like Dog and Duck.
And you still have family special meals as well?
That's right. Always the family-style meals, and you can always get curbside pickup or carry out. If you're not ready to venture outside yet, we're here for you.
This is former Gamecock quarterback P. Orth, and you're listening to my friends JB and Goldwater.
All right, 12:32. Welcome back to the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, online on this Thursday afternoon. It is June the 11th. Day 1 of the draft is complete. Major League Baseball Day 2 begins this evening, 5 o'clock on ESPN2. Last night, Carmen Mlodzinski heard his name called. He is the former ace now of the South Carolina Gamecocks. His pitching coach, Skylar Meade, joins us now live for, I don't know where he is. Where are you? Are you in Columbia? Where are you?
Over in Lexington, where we live, on our little back deck right now.
Okay, because the last couple of times that I've talked to you, you've been in Tennessee.
That is true. That is true. Now we're back here for a while.
All right. So, and Darren is the tech geek. So, Skylar, I apologize to you for him putting your face on this show. I hate my face on it too. So.
But it looks great. Look at that. I mean, it couldn't look any better.
He's a handsome gentleman. Matter of fact, Skylar, I got my hair cut yesterday, very similar to yours, my friend.
Oh yeah. Now let me ask you: do you do it on your own, or did you go somewhere?
All right. So I always go to my girl at Great Clips, but through the pandemic, it was getting long, and I can't. I'm not a long hair guy. I'm a short hair guy. So I just took to the clippers and did a 4 all around. I don't know, a couple weeks ago or more. And then finally, I was able to get in yesterday, and she fixed my sides for me.
All right, G-Clips never disappoints. Although for the last 6 years, I've been doing mine on my own, and so my wife will help with the last little bit, but we'll put a little design, a little action, and little actions. I've gone shorter since it's about a. We'll see what happens in the fall. Maybe we'll let it grow a little bit.
All right, Skylar, usually we'd be talking to you right now because you'd be getting your guys ready for the Super Regional that you were going to play in this year, but the season ended early. Last night, though, I know you're a proud coach because another one of your guys is headed to Major League Baseball. Carmen Mlodzinski, taken as the 31st overall pick in the draft by the Pittsburgh Pirates. So when Skylar would call Skylar Meade and say, tell me about this kid, what did you tell them?
Well, I'd tell you the first thing that would happen in every single conversation is they would tell me how impressed they were with him and their meetings. As these meetings go on through the fall with all the local scouts and sometimes higher level guys within the organization, Carmen's just an impressive kid. He's very unique. He's very diligent, really thoughtful, 21-year-old. And so that was always something that guys would call and ask me about. Of course, we talked about his ability and work ethic and stuff like that. But, I think what Carmen has inside of him and makes him such a good person is what's going to allow him to really blossom, I think, at the professional level. I think he's got a chance to have a 12 to 15 year career, which is really hard to do, but he's got that sort of makeup and work ethic and talent.
What about as far as being the right-hander that he is? I mean, he throws gas. We know that. This scouting of Carmen Mlodzinski, what in his repertoire makes him a big league prospect?
Well, he has the highest ground ball rate of any guy in that class. And I know we're in the age of analytics where they want you to throw the four-seam fastball up and spin the breaking ball down. He's a reverse analytics guy because he sinks the baseball and he kind of pitches the contact to an extent. But the thing with Carmen, he's got 4 pitches that you could rate as average. His fastball certainly above average. But the breaking ball on a scout scale is going to rate out at average. The changeup is rated out at average to even plus at times. And the cutter when it's right, it's a really good pitch too. And so you just sit there and go low mileage arm, big body, plus work ethic, up to 98. Man, you know what? And he's in the SEC. Although Carmen was really snake bitten his career with his foot last year and the virus this year. You're getting a guy that is going to come in kind of rearing and ready to pitch a lot of innings early on in his lower level professional career.
Where has he improved the most since you've seen him and since he's been on your campus?
You know what? I'll give you two parts. From a mental standpoint, Carmen found out kind of who he was last year. He would have found it out during the season, but the season was short, so people got to see it in the summer. Carmen used to be a guy that, and I have said this line to him. He wanted to have his master's degree in pitching before he ever got his bachelor's. He was very advanced. He could mimic. He was very advanced. He could mimic people's delivery. He wanted to have this, and this. It was like, hey, let's simplify. Let's figure out who Carmen is first. So that would be the number one thing. Number two, I just think that addition of the cutter that we did before sophomore year was certainly vital. Make his fastball play a little bit better. And then this past year, what really helped is that at times it showed to be a plus pitch. One hit. He gave up only one hit on it in his first 4 outings. It was just really good, and it wasn't something he had showcased yet in his career, even up making a lot of headway for himself. But I said this to Coach Kingston last night. I mean, we couldn't be more proud of a guy that legitimately only got to pitch his freshman year. He threw 82 career innings as a Gamecock. He goes in the first round. I think that's a tremendous accomplishment for certainly our program, but most certainly
Skylar Meade, pitching coach of the University of South Carolina Gamecocks. 12:38 on the Thursday afternoon. Yeah, first rounder since 2017. That was Clark Schmidt, so another right-handed arm off the board and out of Columbia. Let me ask you this. So from a pitching perspective, we used to – I feel like, Skylar, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like we used to in prior drafts years ago, maybe 5-10 years in prior to, you'd hear the term high ceiling for a lot of guys. Like, this guy's got a really high ceiling and things like that. But you've begun to hear this term high floor much more often now. What does that mean? Like, how have today's pitching prospects changed versus yesterday's? And I guess, an example of this would be like when I was around or when you were around, we're about the same age. If you threw 90, 92, 94, you were a dude. And I feel like now everybody does that. Now you have to hit 97, 98 like to be a dude. So explain this high floor versus high ceiling transition, if that makes sense, in as kids scout these players in baseball.
Well, Major League Baseball is not drafting. Major League Baseball is not drafting. They're sitting there and expecting a 10-mile-per-hour. They're sitting there and expecting. We're so advanced in what we do physically, what we do with arm throwing and arm care. These kids show you the type of velocity that makes them elite. Therefore, you're not necessarily projecting velocity. You may project the improvement of a certain pitch. But in terms of the high floor, like to me, and I'll use Carmen as an example. Worst case for Carmen. You can envision him being a middle or fourth starter in the big leagues because he throws strikes. He's big. He's durable. He's going to be able to give you a ton of innings. He has a fastball that's going to be a nightmare on wood bats. He's got a breaking ball and a changeup. That's like worst case. Best case, you get a guy that continues to blossom. He learns to elevate his fastball better, gets a little bit better against lefties. All of his pitches take a tick up. And what if you have a 1 or 2 starter? Right? That to me is something that I think you could certainly say. And there's other people like that too. I know you and I were texting about Bobby Miller out of Louisville. I think that's as good an arm as there is in the draft. Right? His floor is he's an 8th or 9th inning guy. That's his floor. His high end is he's Walker Buehler, and he's a 1-2 starter because he's 6'5", he's from the Midwest, low taxed arm, and he's throwing 95 to 100 in the 7th, 8th inning of ball games.
Wow. Skylar Meade is with us here, the pitching coach for South Carolina. There's been kind of a little back and forth on Twitter a little bit that I've seen with Mike Clevenger, who obviously he's with the Indians now, put a video out while he's out on his boat with his hair just flopping everywhere, and a lot of it was about velo, and it was basically I can paint this and that, but if there's not velo, then really you don't have a shot. How much has that changed over the years as velo has gone up? It's guys who generally you better keep up with Joneses in terms of velo.
I think there's some truth in that. I think people all the time they ask about arm injuries and this and that, and what do we do? And it's like, hey, listen. The arm wasn't meant for everybody to throw this hard. This was not the norm back in the day. And if you were to give me a guy, let's just say I'm talking back in the day, they threw really hard. A lot of their careers might not have been as long, and part of that was probably how hard they threw, and they ended up having some injuries. I mean, the Nolan Ryans and Randy Johnsons are exceptions to the rule to an extent for guys that throw that hard for that long. But look, Mike's a different guy. Clevenger, he's a really different cat. It's ironic. I'm really good friends with his agent and talk to him often. And he's got a lot of strong beliefs on things, and there's a lot of truth to what he's saying. There really is a lot of truth, and they want this velocity maybe a little bit earlier, especially if you're a high school kid. There's not going to be so much want for them to project your velocity. They want to see your velocity. College guys, obviously that tends to be the case unless you're a certain exception, or you have a certain pitch that makes you an outlier, like a Reed Detmers who his average fastball is about 89 to 89 and a half, but he's got the best curveball we've seen maybe since Barry Zito. So he has that unique tool, if you will. But velocity sells. It's like power, right? Power sells, velocity sells. Just like in football, offense sells. Kind of the way of the world right now.
Why is that? What has changed in baseball? I mean, it's at a youth level, obviously, right? I mean, there's something. It's interesting at the youth level. Like you have some guys who can really help you, and then you have some guys who are just going to crush you when you're about 13 years old because they have no idea what they're doing. But what is, in your opinion, what has changed? What is contributed to this?
I mean, I'll just give you an individual example. I played with a kid in high school, first round pick. Okay. So if there weren't scouts at the game, which there always were, but if there weren't scouts, his stepdad was the one guy what seemed like in the whole city had a radar gun. Right? He was the one dude. He'd stand back there, shoot his little radar gun, and everyone's like, "Oh man, little Johnny was 88 today." Like we actually knew. 20 years ago, you had no idea what people were throwing. Now every single video, I'm talking Twitter, Instagram, backyard, whatever. Anytime someone throws, they got a pocket radar, someone's got a regular radar, they got Rapsodo, TrackMan, fill in the blank, flight scope. It don't matter. So it's just known. And that yearning to see it, right? It's like I was talking about this with one of our players the other day. It's like the first time that you almost touched the rim in basketball, right? Think back.
I don't know. I haven't had that first time yet.
but I joked with a recruit the other day about this too. I asked him when the first time he dunked was. He said, in 8th grade, he touched the rim, blah, blah, blah. I said, how did it happen? And we started sharing a story about when we were the same age, when I was his age, and me and a bun literally in the gym for an hour, trying to figure out how we could throw an alley perfect to dunk. And we did it over and over until you finally accomplish what you're trying to do. Well, I think velocity is the same thing. Right? I'm pushing myself. I'm trying to hit 90. I break through that barrier. I want to hit 91. I want to hit 92. I'm doing the extra reps in the weight room. I'm throwing it harder. My intent gets better. It's something that you can now tangibly see. So therefore, guys are able to push the envelope.
Very cool.
Jamie and I were talking about this just a little bit ago. Typically, the draft is right around College World Series time, and then after you get picked, you're probably going to take a little time off and then maybe go rookie league, summer Florida State League, wherever you're going to go. That's not an option now. So what is Majewski doing? What are some of these guys doing this offseason to, I guess, stay fresh and ready for next year?
I think that's going to be a little bit individualized per organization. I will tell you this, some of them won't do anything for a little while. Mm-hmm. They're going to they are drafted now, or they will be drafted in the next couple of days, and then they may say, hey, you got a little bit of time. You just kind of hang out, stay in shape, be ready for the fall. Some organizations may try to get them out to their facility sooner rather than later, but it's a unique thing. I mean, it's really going to be an organizational decision, and I think part of it's going to just go on maybe their position and then their history too.
As far as Carmen's now, hopefully with one signature going to be, or a couple signatures, going to be a millionaire. A little bit over $2 million for Carmen Majewski. What about some of these other guys? I don't know if you can publicly talk about any of the signees, but Thomas Farr, Brandon Jordan, Noah Campbell, Andrew Peters. I mean, these guys are draft eligible. Could hear some of their names called tonight. Are you expecting that? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'll tell you, the position that those guys and a couple of our signees, a couple of our arms in particular. What's really going on is them and their families have kind of gotten to the point where they've decided a number they feel comfortable with. And our message is coaches, and I really mean this. If they have a number that their family is comfortable with, and they're able to reach that number and get drafted in a spot where you can actually obtain that, we're going to wish them the best, and we're going to be so happy for them. But what we're trying to make sure they do is understand their value or their future value. I mean, last night the first 7 picks in the draft were college guys. SEC had 14 guys. We had a guy that missed 2 years, and he went in the first round. Is going to get about $2.4 million. So the point is the development of college baseball has never been better. It's never been better. It's especially in this league. This is double A baseball. And so we're just trying to make sure these guys make very informed decisions for not only the present but for their future. Whether that's Thomas and Brandon, who probably are the most potential to go tonight off our team. You said Andrew Peters, and I think certainly he would have been a guy just didn't get the opportunity to really pitch coming off his injury at his junior college. But we're just trying to make sure they make informed decisions. And for the high school guys, listen, it's a deal, and a lot of programs do a great job with this. But unless you get a certain dollar figure suit to come to school, get your education, have the greatest time of your life, develop your body, mind, and your craft, whether you're a pitcher or a position player, and have the opportunity to make real life-changing money a couple years from now, and be prepared for that world. That's our message. We'll see what happens today with these guys. And like I said, we understand Carmen's going on and what he's doing, and we have no self-serving thoughts at all. We're so happy for him, and honestly, like I said earlier, for our program, and we'll see what happens with these other guys tonight.
Yeah, I mean, just had a firsthand account of this a couple days ago with my buddy Drew Meyer. I mean, Drew was telling his story back in 2002, and it suited him well to go to South Carolina, and he was one of the guys it worked out for.
Yes. I think it obviously works out for a lot of guys, and you were just pointing out, Skylar, the amount of guys in the SEC and college guys who went last night. You just said we'll see about our other guys. Jamie and I have been talking a little bit about Noah Campbell. Where do you think he's going to go? Do you think he's going to go?
Time will tell. There has been some interest on maybe the back end of tonight. We'll see. We're certainly rooting for Noah.
Right.
Time will tell. I know there are a couple teams that have been a little bit more. We'll say a little more Q&A, if you will. With us, the coaches, and obviously with Noah and his people too. So we'll see. The crazy part about this draft and the baseball draft is the weirdest of all because it's not based upon talent from 1 to 160.
Right.
There's so many variables between signability, what school you're going to, what year you are, what is your age. It's just a crapshoot. And I tell you, I really hope that Noah does hear his name called. But we'll see what happens tonight. It's going to be a wild 6 hours. I know that.
No doubt. A couple years ago, Skylar, your guys, your first year in Columbia, you made it to Fayetteville in the Super Regional. And, I don't know from if you listen to the fans, it never happened. They certainly didn't expect it to happen. Not all of them, it's just some fans. But you go to you go to Fayetteville, and you'd already seen this kid, but I guess the rest of us really got introduced up front and personal with a kid named Heston Kjerstad, who the first time I ever saw him swing a bat, I said he's going to be in the big leagues. He's just one of those guys that's got it. Well, last night he was selected second overall by the Baltimore Orioles. Of course, he's played the corner outfield spots for the Razorbacks the last couple of years. Hit almost 400 with Team USA last year. This kid's got a stick. You've seen him a lot. How does he project at the next level? I almost think I don't know, Skylar. I'm gonna let you give all the information you've got on him here in a second. I don't know if he's an elite corner outfielder, but is there a potential where maybe he goes to Baltimore and eventually they move him to first when Chris Davis is gone or something like that? What's your report on Heston Kjerstad?
Well, if there is one knock on his game, it's been the defensive aspect. I know that was a little bit of an issue, and he certainly improved on it. The guy put in a lot of work, but they're paying for the bat. They take because they're paying for the bat, just like when they went Detroit. Detroit went 1 with Torp, and you're paying for the bat. Heston was very impressive. It was funny. We executed a lot of pitches against him. We played Arkansas 7 times that first year, and we had done a good job. But I will tell you. Whenever you made a mistake, that man punished it, and that was what he did as a freshman. So he's continued to improve. They do a good job with their hitters out there, and it's a simple swing. Usually when you get a big body lefty like that, sometimes there's a little bit too much lift. They try to do too much. They don't like to use the backside of the field. But you watch Heston, and it's very professional. And I know Coach Kingston, having getting coaching with Team USA, echo the same thing. It's a very simple approach. He's very stable mentally, and that he takes the right mindset for every at bat. I think that guy is a surefire, high level run producer. I think he's going to hit his fair share, especially in Baltimore. In that part, I think that guy could potentially be a 35 home run guy. So I know it shocks a lot of people he went to, but you play in the SEC and you produce and you can hit this league against these jokers going out there every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and out of the bullpens. I think you're going to have a good shot in professional baseball.
No, I agree. I mean, and 2 of those guys also went in the top 10. Darren, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but I mean, Lacey from A&M, you've seen him. You've seen Hancock, the kid that throws 400 miles an hour from Georgia. I mean, these kids are dudes. Of those 2 dudes right there, who gets to the big leagues first?
You know what? I think Lacey. That is just Lacey could have gone one. I mean, that guy is incredible. I'm really close with one of the assistants at A&M, and this was his first year with him. And like the first week, he called me a couple times. He's like, I've never seen anything like this kid. This kid is just an animal. He's gotten so much better every single year. And you know what? I tell you what, you throw that hard from the left side with that slider, tilt the curveball, and he's got a plus changeup. I mean, I think that guy's going to be really good. I think there's a little bit of Blake Snell in there, in my opinion. And obviously Blake Snell is as good as there is from the left side in baseball. But, yeah, and he's the other thing about Lacey, and we saw it here last year in Founders, and, that dude is a son of a gun. He is a son of a gun when he pitches.
Really?
You, I'm sure, don't want to say names. I don't even know if you can. Any possibility that some of the guys expected in Columbia hear their names tonight? And if so, will they be in Columbia?
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, obviously, we got really good news with Fields coming to school. And, there's obviously a couple other guys, a couple of those big arms, that are going to potentially have a chance to go tonight. We'll see. This is an incredible class. I mean, you have some guys in here that won't go tonight that in a different year, if they got to play more, would maybe have a chance to get some really good money. I just tell you, we're sitting here hoping, and I know there's bigger issues in the world, but for us, just with our, the work we put in this class, if we can get these guys to school, this is a very, very unique group. And they want to do unique things. They're very connected. They're very tight. The pitchers are absolute donkeys. The position players are very athletic. We got guys that can field it. And, their rapport amongst one another is as unique as I've seen in my 13 years of coaching.
I want to ask you about your former school real quick. It's hard to look at Bobby Miller, who went 29th last night, and you said he's the steal of the draft. He goes 29th to L.A., the Dodgers, and that team across town, the Angels, they got his teammate, Reed Detmers, a lefty from Louisville. You look at these two kids, and Dan McDonald, the hair that he's got left, is probably wanting to pull the rest of it out. I mean, if they could have just finished this year, I mean, they might have been the front runners to win the whole dang thing with those two arms. Those kids are studs. And they're both going to be in the big leagues before long, probably fairly soon. But you think Miller, it might be the steal of this whole thing?
I do. I know we were talking about that earlier, and I was talking to Coach McDonald. We were texting earlier, and he and I certainly had the same sentiment. Coach Williams, Roger Williams, who people have no idea what an incredible pitching coach he is. Well, I think a lot of people do. Maybe not every person in this country should know that guy might be the finest pitching coach in all of the world. He does incredible things, and so. He really helped those guys. I got to watch Reed and Bobby pitch a lot in high school. They're both Illinois kids. And Louisville's done a tremendous job with getting those Midwest arms, and we certainly are trying to do the same thing when we pick and choose our spots down here. But I think that it's got to be tough pill for them to swallow. Due to the fact that the year got cut short. But guess what? They got a stable of them coming through, so I ain't feeling too bad for them.
That's very true. All right, but before we let you run here, I want to ask you about some of the changes, Skylar, in baseball. I think these are good for the sport. We're at least going to see them this coming year. They're going to do away so they're going to increase your scholarship size to 32. You can put as many players on the roster as you want to, and then they're also dropping that 25% rule. Which is good, right? But also, I guess the way that I'm kind of understanding this, Skylar, I don't know exactly how you and Coach Kingston and your staff will handle it, but the scholarship limit isn't going up, which the SEC did propose that go to 13.7 from 11.7, but they did not do that. So you're going to have 11.7 now spread across 32, which means that 25% for some players is probably going to drop. But this is also going to help you get some kids into school that maybe weren't going to be able to do that for whatever reason. So your thoughts on some of these changes and how they might help the sport of baseball?
There's a lot of layers to that. I do think, it's it is good that they helped with the counters. I think it's going to help, some programs and stuff to sift through what, the unique situation everybody's put in. But if we want to help baseball, the NCAA, we gotta get the scholarships up. And I know that might be quasi controversial to say, but the fact of the matter is baseball is probably, at least you could argue it's as fast a growing sport at the collegiate level as there is, with the amount of games on television, SEC Network, ACC, Pac-12, all the ESPN networks. Games are on TV all the time. It's important at a lot of schools, especially important where we are. And we're watching a major league draft, and we're trying to help these kids get an education. We're trying to not make this sport be one that is only able to be played by people with a lot of money, and that is not the path anyone wants to go down. We want this to be a sport that everybody can play, and when you don't offer the amount or an increased amount of scholarships, I think that can have an effect. I know you mentioned Mike Clevenger. He had a great rant talking about this subject. So, we have to be able to figure something out at the NCAA level to increase scholarships. Nobody's asking for 18. We understand the issues that could probably lie there, but increasing by a couple. Look, this thing's been 11-7 for a long time, and I think that there needs to be changes. And I hope that there will. I don't know, if there's going to be that change. I know everybody talks about and hopes. But if we want to really help the sport of baseball, I think that's what we got to do. And you know what? It would suit Major League Baseball if more kids did go to college. You see the amount of guys that are stars now all over, not just out of the SEC. And, we want people to get an education. We want them to be prepared for life that has nothing to do with baseball. We need to get kids to school. And if we can do that, I think that would certainly better the product, and it would be better for the kids and the families.
Well, I'm just thinking about this simplistically here. You said nobody's asking for 18. Well, there might be a push. There might be a push that after 2021 to try to leave this roster limit, the scholarship limit at 32 instead of 27. Let's say they don't even do that. Let's say they give you 28. Give you 14 scholarships to where at least everybody can be on half scholarship. How about a half rule here where, look, the minimum we can give kids is if we play this all equally, we got 28 kids, we're going to all give you a half scholarship. Something. It's just a joke, man.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I've just been at this for a long time, and our game has grown a lot. There are certainly places, South Carolina certainly one of them, where baseball can be a sport that helps make, money for your athletics program. And we sit there, and I think these kids deserve the opportunity to get more money and ask less of these families. School costs a lot, and if we're limited in our budget as a as a baseball team and what we can give, I think it's unfortunate. So we'll see what happens. I know I'm not the only one that believes that, and there's some people that are more powerful than myself that are pushing the envelope on this too, and I commend them for that. And hopefully something happens in time, because I think it would help our game.
All right, before we let Skylar go, I don't know if you have any more. I have two more questions for Skylar. The first one is important. The second one is certainly important, but we're going to have some fun with it. With all of this talk we just had, expanded, all these rules changes, talking about your guys who may sign, who might not sign, what will your day be like tomorrow? What will the staff do tomorrow in trying to figure out, all right, these are the guys that looks like they're gone. And these are the guys that are coming back. We've been granted relief. These are kids who've been granted relief. All right, we've got X number of players here. So what will that process look like for South Carolina baseball to try to sort out what the fall roster is going to look like?
That's a good question. What we'll do tomorrow is everybody will get up when they get up, and we have a staff meeting at 11. We'll do on a Zoom. Obviously, we'll now know that the draft's done. We'll know who was or was not taken, and the next thing is just making sure that there is that potential for some guys to sign as free agents. We'll certainly be in conversations with some of those guys just to see where their head's at about that. Obviously, a lot of the guys, it probably wouldn't be the right avenue, but there could be a guy or two maybe where it is potentially. So we'll go through that. We'll certainly communicate with those players. and then then we're going to just maybe finally start looking towards what our fall will look like from a roster, and then maybe a development plan in terms of how we practice and play, which we certainly have a lot of questions with the virus to figure out about that, but at least we can start dreaming on those things. And then after that, we're going to go back to the phones and recruit, do what we do.
All right. I'm going to give you a recruiting Skip. I'm going to give you a recruiting tip here, Skylar, okay?
Okay.
Everybody caption this. I, as the host of the JB and Goldwater show, am giving a recruiting tip to one of the best recruiters in the country, the pitching coach at South Carolina. Don't recruit the state of Delaware.
Oh God, you're still on this?
And I'm going to tell you why. You ready for this? Don't go get arms in Delaware, because they're going to fall off when you bring them to Columbia, and here's why. As part of the Delaware Division of Small Businesses' new guidelines for the resumption of baseball and softball recreationally at a youth level, there's two things here that strike me. Some of this stuff, Skylar, we get it. Okay, no community water cooler, don't spit, stay away from players in the dugout. All right, we're all trying to fight the spread. I get that. Okay. A catcher should be at least 6 feet from the batter, Skylar. And if this is not possible, then a catcher shouldn't be used. So if you run out there and you have to throw 60 feet, 6 inches in your local youth league because you're 14 years old, if the catcher isn't 6 feet behind the plate and away from the hitter, which would require you to throw 66 feet if you'd like to hit his mitt, then you don't even need to use him. I mean, what good is that doing anybody? These kids, their arms are going to fall off trying to throw further than they need to. What in the world is going on in Delaware?
I haven't been to the state of Delaware, but I think they may need some tips on their future plans for baseball, potentially for some other sports. I think.
Dude, I mean, come on, man. I don't. If you can't stay 6 feet away, just don't use the catcher. Well, then what do we do if when the pitch comes? Well,
Jamie went on an epic rant about this yesterday. Just couldn't possibly get over it.
Listen. Totally fair.
Exactly. They're doing more harm than good. You don't. You're good. You put guys in the big leagues. Skylar Meade, the pitching coach at South Carolina. That next one we think is going to be Carmen Majinski, the 31st overall selection last night in the Major League Baseball draft. We'll keep our eyes peeled tonight for what other names may be called either currently on the South Carolina roster or potentially soon on the South Carolina roster. Skylar, thank you, man. We know we kept you a long time. You're a good friend. You pass on our best to Coach Kingston and Coach Lake and everybody up there, and we look forward to speaking with you soon, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Man. Thanks, brother. There you go.
Take care.
All right, 107, late timeout. We rolled through the top of the hour, but when we return, we will return with the national anthem. We've got our days of the week calendar. We've got some racing, some basketball, some football to get to, and then Scott Glaze, he'll join us at 1:30 today. Golf returns this afternoon as well. Looking forward to that. So hang tight. The JB and Goldwater Show. We'll be right back.
DB's Cheesesteaks, the tastiest, juiciest, and now award-winning cheesesteaks in the Low Country. DB's Cheesesteaks delivers, and not just in quality. Download DoorDash, Uber Eats, or your delivery app of choice and have it dropped off at your doorstep. Original chicken, buffalo chicken, even pizza cheesesteaks, not to mention incredible cheeseburgers, massive hot dogs, and dynamite hoagies. It's all there for you and your family. DB's Cheesesteaks in West Ashley. dbscheesesteaks.com.
What's up, guys? It's JB. Obviously, things have been kind of crazy with the coronavirus taking over our lives. We're stuck inside with family, finding ways to be creative and probably tapping the liquor cabinet a little bit. If you don't have Patrick Davis's Whiskey Jam yours, put on your mask and gloves and head to Bottles or Burris liquor stores here in Charleston. The Blackberry is my personal favorite on the rocks, but the original Whiskey Jam is Patrick's. So either way, you're winning with Whiskey Jam. WhiskeyJam.com, PatrickDavis.com.
One of these drinks is gonna cloud my memory.
Honey Baked Ham in Somerville and in Mount Pleasant is your home for catering and lunch. Honey Baked Somerville, owned by former Gamecock right-hander Mike Cisco, is just off the interstate and they are ready to cater to your next business or family meal. Plus, drop in for an incredible sandwiches daily for lunch. The Mount Pleasant location is at the foot of the Ravenel Bridge and always ready to serve and cater to your next meals as well. Plus, delivery is available. Honeybake.com to find your menu today.
As businesses start to open up around South Carolina, we have Ryan Nelson back in here to tell us about Dog and Duck Family Pubs, the 3 locations, and some new hours going on. What's up?
That's right. We now offer indoor dining and patio seating outside. The new hours are Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and then Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. now. Slowly getting back into the normal routine, or so what we think, and we hope everybody comes out and supports local businesses like Dog and Duck.
And you still have family special meals as well?
That's right. Always the family-style meals, and you can always get curbside pickup or carry out. If you're not ready to venture outside yet, we're here.
Patriots Point proudly presents the national anthem of the United States of America.
You're listening to the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online.
All right, 111, welcome back to the JB and Goldwater Show, June the 11th. As a matter of fact, it's 111 on June the 11th. Darren Goldwater, Jamie Bradford, we are live on the Podbean app. We thank you for listening, and we thank you for watching on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, and probably somewhere else I don't even know about, right? 843-321-8893 is our phone number.
There may have been some feedback issues on the live stream. That's part of figuring all these fun new gadgets out that I like to play with and never really stop trying to figure out.
Yeah.
But maybe we're going to have that fixed when we have Scott Glaze on in about 30 minutes.
Yeah, you're
or less.
About 20 minutes. You're a tech geek. I'm not that guy.
No, but I love it. It's weird because my job is generally, play-by-play announcer in front of the camera, but behind-the-scenes stuff, the behind the camera, it's fascinating, and I'm learning as I go.
To you get more involved in this. I get less. Like, I've deactivated my Facebook account. I'm like, I can't do this crap anymore. I haven't used Facebook in 2 or 3 years anyways. But anyways, welcome back. 843-321 is our phone number. 843-321-8893. 843-321-8893. 893. As he mentioned, Scott Glaze coming up here in just a little bit, and we'll take a look at golf. Golf back in the state next week, too. Hoping Tiger's here. I think he will be, based on the fact that his yacht is parked at St. Simon's Island now. But if he is, he'll join maybe the best group we've seen in a long time. Brooks Koepka is here. Rory's going to be here. But not seeing Tiger this weekend.
Did you see the picture Brooks Koepka tweeted out, I guess as he was ready to play today or going to the course?
No.
I mean, serious stash going on.
Oh boy.
Serious game.
No, I didn't see that. But
look it up.
Good for him.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No, it's what you call like the porn stash.
Oh yeah. I know what that looks like.
Yeah, like that.
Okay. All right, let's slide through some basketball news here real quick. So we're starting this. I'm going to get back to the Zion Williamson situation. Didn't spend a ton of time on it yesterday, but Brad Crawford, who writes for 247 Sports, did write a column that was published a little while ago, maybe 3 or 4 hours ago, about what he thinks the most likely ending to this thing is going to be. He thinks it will be a settlement. He thinks that they will settle. But what was interesting in here is that Prime Sports Marketing, who is suing Zion Williamson for $100 million and is owned by Gina Ford, she claims in testimony from Duke Blue Devils head coach Mike Krzyzewski, she claims that testimony is warranted because Krzyzewski had said that providing a job to a player's family member, quote, is just a business decision on the record, which I hadn't seen that. So I don't know if I've missed that, but I hadn't seen it.
I hadn't seen that either. And, okay, business decision, but it's a lot more than a business decision.
Well, right. I mean, I think that's her point.
Right.
Okay. So, because that would be under this phrase, monies, benefits, and or prohibited benefits, which you can't give a job to a player's family member to recruit that person to your institution.
Now, what job did a family member have?
Yeah, I don't know. I did know. I was reading this column this morning, and it looks like her attorneys also pointed out that there's evidence of Williamson's parents residing in a North Carolina-based property during his career at Duke with a monthly rent valued at $4,995. $5,000 in rent in Durham, North Carolina? Yeah, I'm not buying that. So, were they somehow paying rent and that rent was coming back to them? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Or they weren't paying, I think is the point of what they're saying, that if rent is $4 or $5 grand, then they probably weren't paying it, that it could have been Duke. So,
I mean, Darren,
this isn't new though.
No. I never saw the number. I knew that this was an issue. I never knew it was a monthly rent of $5 grand. You're not really under the radar when you've got a $5,000 rent, no matter what school you're going to, if that makes sense.
I don't remember who put it out. One of the national college basketball writers put it out about this house, and he said, here's the picture of the house. I know this is the rumored house because I took a picture of it as well last year, but there's no way to prove it.
Okay.
That was his point. Like, okay, this is the house, this is the rumor, but there's absolutely no way to back it up, at least that he's found to this point.
Right. Look, basically, all they're essentially doing here is forcing him to settle. They just want to get paid. They want their money. That's it. That's what it comes down to. They're going to keep slow playing a lot of this. I don't want to call it evidence, but a lot of these comments, a lot of this stuff that's on the record. They're going to keep publishing these statements, Darren, and putting them out in public, right? And then they're essentially going to make this to where Zion Williamson, if he wants a lot of this to just go away, he needs to just settle and let's move on. But the argument here, though, if you're wondering about the other side, is they were not. Prime Sports Marketing was not licensed in North Carolina to represent him, and that is what he's saying. I got out of this because they weren't licensed to represent me, and I didn't know that. And when I found out, I vetoed the ordeal and got out of here. But Gina Ford is saying, well, okay, maybe she's fought that end of it, but she's also fighting. Okay, well, you actually technically weren't even a student athlete,
right? You were ineligible anyway, right. So your point is null and void because you were ineligible,
right? You're exactly.
If this thing, like the article you're referencing, if this settles, that's fine. That's one side of it. But enough has now come out. What happens to Duke?
Yeah, I mean, how are you not knocking down their doors?
Right.
As I'm talking about from the
NCAA. Right, exactly. And you go back to, was it this week? I think so. The Oklahoma State punishment, the postseason ban, the scholarship reduction.
Right.
I think it was this week. May have been the end of last week.
In the last week, yeah.
Okay. Well, that came as somewhat of a surprise because the allegations levied against Oklahoma State weren't the worst of the rumored allegation, not the rumored, of the allegations that are out there for other programs, such as Kansas, which is looking at 5 level 1 violations in basketball, and other schools as well. So if Oklahoma State, if they weren't as egregious and they got hammered that way, then now what's going to happen to Kansas? Now what's going to happen to Duke if if the NCAA goes in and says, listen, we need to revisit this because we have new information now and we got to check on what went on with Zion.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know that we're going to know publicly what the NCAA's plans are, and just until they implement those plans, they never tip the hat on anything. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that, certainly. John Calipari called out that the New York Knicks might be interested in hiring him.
How many times has he
Kentucky.
been rumored to go to the Knicks?
I know, a lot, right? And just last year he signed what was a lifetime deal, essentially, with the Wildcats. There are some folks that think that, it's not going to happen. He's very comfortable with where he is. He's not going to lose his job at Kentucky or anything like that. He gets the best players every year. He's always going to be in it. But there's also some that think, you know what, this might be the time to lure him away. One more shot. He's financially set for the rest of his life. One more shot at the NBA. If it doesn't work out, he'll just hang it up and move on about himself. And I don't know. I don't know. If I'm going to jump to the NBA, I don't know that the New York Knicks is where I want to go.
Well, from a pure NBA player standpoint, success standpoint, not right now.
No.
But if you're Calipari, the Knicks, New York,
it fits him.
It does.
Yeah,
it does fit him.
It fits him.
Yeah.
I mean, but everything he'll do. I mean, everything he does now is under the microscope, but that will be magnified times 100 if you're in the NBA with the Knicks. So.
Yeah, but he can't cheat. With the Knicks, he can't be criticized for recruiting allegations or whatnot when he's with the Knicks. And maybe the Knicks can get better because players would want to play for Calipari. I don't know if that's true at all. I don't know if players would want to
well,
play.
He has enough of his guys in the NBA now. Essentially, he can just go sign all of his old guys and win a championship.
He could, although John Wall just signed a pretty big extension with the Wizards.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't think he leaves Kentucky.
I don't think so either. I mean, again, we've heard this rumor
there's
12 times.
There's no point. Major news yesterday out of NASCAR. First of all, Martin Truex Jr. wins Martinsville last night, which no one's even talking about. It feels like people forgot that Martin Truex Jr. actually raced because the major news going into the day yesterday was that Bubba Wallace had painted the car. It was the Black Lives Matter car at race last night, hashtag Black Lives Matter with an interlocking fist on the hood of the car, one white, one black, very much supported by all of the drivers, very much supported, I would say, by the majority of fans in NASCAR, very much supported by pretty much everybody. Bubba Wallace, the lone black driver in NASCAR. And then we got the news that NASCAR, moving forward, has officially banned the Confederate flag from flying at any of its racetracks, which means they weren't flying it themselves, but which means you can't wear a T-shirt with the Confederate flag on. You'll be asked to remove that and go get yourself a new shirt. You can't have a flag on your motorhome in the parking lot, which there's generally a bunch of those flying. Nothing. No, nothing.
Zero.
You can't have shoes. Nothing like that. And so, this is always for the Heritage Not Hate crowd, because my family is very much a part of that, and Heritage Not Hate always has been. I would encourage everybody to read the column that Ryan McGee put out, which is sensational.
Very, very good.
It's very well. Here's why it's so good, because Ryan McGee talked about himself and his family and where he comes from and who they were as slave owners and things like that, and all these things that get kind of brought back to the forefront when you see that flag today. And I thought he did an incredible comparison to the swastika and where that flag was not. It was adopted by those who supported Hitler in that movement. That wasn't their flag. That was actually a symbol for the sun, 5,000 years ago or something. And so, but over time, it turned into a symbol of hate.
Right.
And so
meanings change.
Right. And so what he did was he said, when Americans, those of us whose brains function, see that sign, we go, get that the hell away from us. We beat your ass, 70 years ago or whatever it was. Now my math might be a little bit off.
Not just we beat your ass, but
80 years ago.
But that is a symbol of utter hate.
Just pure hatred.
Yes.
Like, we ended that.
Yes.
It's over.
Yes.
And so he equated that to this flag, because there are a lot of good people. Matter of fact, I was talking to a buddy of mine yesterday exactly about this same thing, who is black. I was talking to Terry about this. And there are a lot of people who look at that flag and go, man, that flag doesn't mean hate to me. It's just, where I'm from. And I totally get it. I got people in my family like that. I've been like that I understand. I don't look at that and go, I hate somebody. But what's happened is it's turned into hate. And so what he did was he compared these two in this column and talked about his family and how they lived underneath it and all this stuff and how you've moved on. That flag was defeated. You move on. And it was a well-written column, and it is so, Darren, it's so inclusive. It comes to mind, but I don't want to necessarily say inclusive. Just well-rounded. Like, everybody can understand what he's saying because he talks from every side. I would encourage everybody to read.
First of all, Ryan McGee is one of the best wordsmiths out there.
No doubt.
So
no doubt.
So then,
do you ever watch him and Marty on Saturdays on the SEC Network?
They're great.
That should. I'm sorry, first takers. That should be on every morning on ESPN.
Oh, they're great.
It's the best show.
And Marty himself is just a great dude.
Absolutely. And he's hilarious.
Yeah. So coming from...
He's got good hair.
So do you now that it's cut. So coming from where he's coming from in the background, and his family, and then you combine the fact that he is such a good writer.
Yeah.
It's worth your time. And look, I understand that comparison completely.
Yeah.
I am
Absolutely.
Jewish,
yeah.
and yes, while the swastika was not created by the Nazis, it clearly means one thing only.
Oh, no doubt.
One thing only.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't even know that the swastika was a symbol of like the sun rising or something 5,000 years. I had no idea.
To be honest, I didn't know exactly what it was. I knew that it was not created by Hitler and the Nazis. I knew they adopted it from whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
But again, what it was before is completely irrelevant because what it is now.
Right, yeah.
And it's the same. It is the same with the flag. And I know plenty of people who still side with, listen, I'm this is the heritage thing. It's history, and like I get it, but sometimes perception is reality, and this is when you're talking about symbols like this. That is true.
Yeah,
and whether or not you like it, it's time to understand that.
Yeah, and especially with anything in life, Darren, it's when something gets hijacked and turned into something bad, it generally becomes bad. If nobody had ever hijacked that and acted poorly under any of those symbols, we wouldn't think about them that way. It would just be, oh, well, that was the form. Oh, okay, well, that's cool. I'm a historian. I love history, so that's neat. Oh, cool. But then you go, well, yeah, but do you not know about the people that, did this and this because? Oh, wait a second here. So good move by NASCAR. I'm very interested to see what the I don't want to say immediate because of the times we're living in here. Although I'm about to get to some good news in a second with fans, but I'm very interested to see what the outcome of this will be. Will there be more black drivers? Will there be more? Generally, if you go to a NASCAR race, there's not a lot of black fans. But are there some out there that truly love the sport and never gone? Did that really keep them away? I don't know the answer, but I'm anxious to see what the outcome is.
I mean, it's possible because it's very possible because of all of the symbolism that you'll generally see around the track. It I'm sure feels like a very uncomfortable situation to walk into as a black person, male or female. So again, whether or not the reasoning behind it is what it is for the people flying it, the perception is I don't want to walk into that crowd. That's not going to go very well.
I totally understand that. Yeah. I totally understand that, and it's a good move by NASCAR, and it's gone.
Right,
just like that, snap of a finger. There you go. Until somebody shows up with it, and it's going to happen, and they're going to go.
There was, I don't know if it was in McGee's piece or not. So they banned something. apparel and whatnot, stuff that wasn't authentic apparel that was being sold. And I guess they swooped in with like helicopters and stuff. So the question is, can they really enforce this? And one of the NASCAR writers, I wish I wrote this down who it was. One of them was saying, "Oh yeah, they can enforce this because look at what they've done. Look at what they've done in other situations in the past, and they've been able to enforce it with crowds of thousands and thousands of people."
Yeah, if you really want to enforce it, you can enforce it. And I'll tell you a very easy way to enforce it. These tickets are not cheap. If you see it,
bye.
Your ticket's gone. You're out. Period. And of course, they can definitely enforce it before they let you in. They're standing at the turnstiles. All right, here's the good news, though. NASCAR is set to allow fans back at the track for races later on this month at Homestead, which is down in Miami, and Talladega, which is a song sung by Eric Church, but it's after Talladega over there in Alabama, which if you've ever driven by Talladega when you're going down I-20, it looks enormous from the interstate. I mean, you're driving by it for like 4 miles.
Yes.
I mean, it just never ends, but it's really neat to see. So up to 1,000 Florida service members representing the Homestead Air Reserve Base and U.S. Southern Command in Doral. They will be allowed to attend the Cup Series race Sunday as honorary guests and view the race from the grandstands. And then the Talladega Super Speedway in Alabama will allow up to 5,000 guests in the front stretch grandstands or towers for their June 21st Cup race there. And we'll see how this goes. And if this works out, then you can expect to see more fans at more venues down the road. 5,000 fans is nothing because these places fit, especially Talladega, about 200,000 people. You're not even going to know they're there.
When driving by that track, I always think, my God, what is it like on race day? Because the thing, it is expansive. It is, like you said, it feels like you're driving by it for like 4 miles.
Forever.
I've never been on race day, driving by it, thank God, or there, which, I mean, I'd like to experience it. Just, it's awe-inspiring to look and think, what in the world is it like to be with hundreds of thousands of people in this? Man,
it's crazy.
NASCAR's crazy.
A lot of drunks.
Yeah.
That's, people, like I know people, I truth be told, I've never been to a NASCAR race.
Oh, I have.
I've never been. I've tried to go. Look, like Darlington now, it races earlier, but historically always raced in the fall. And I got football on the weekends, man. I'm not going to Darlington on Sunday after a football game, but maybe soon.
Yeah.
I'd like to go to Talladega is where I really want to go. Not Daytona. I want to go to Talladega.
Darlington is the only one that I have been to. And look, I'm not a NASCAR fan. I wasn't then, not now. I do casually watch it. But man, what an experience. I encourage everybody to go to a NASCAR race because it's just unlike other events.
Right.
The noise, the crowd, the atmosphere, it's just very unique. And if you're a sports fan, if you like attending stuff, you'll like it. You will like it. Yeah.
Talladega. The Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum presents our national anthem played at the top of this segment every day on the JB and Goldwater Show, patriotspoint.org. That's where you can find everything you can do over at Patriots Point. Right now they're not doing this, but eventually they will be once they welcome students back on board during the school year. They actually allow camping trips, which are really neat, and they have a bunch of educational things that you can take your classrooms to Patriots Point from all over the state. Kids come from everywhere. Field trips down here at Patriots Point. They walk around the Yorktown and the Laffey and the Clamagore, the Vietnam War exhibit. They learn about our country, and our friends over at Patriots Point are the best of the best of the best. PatriotsPoint.org for more information. All right, it's time for a timeout. We're late. When we return, Scott Glaze, and we've kind of made this a one-time tradition, so today will be twice. We'll do our What Day Is Today with Scott, and then we'll talk golf. How about that?
All right, sure.
3 days today.
3 of them.
3 days for everybody's favorite segment. So hang tight. The JB and Goldwater Show will be right back.
DB's Cheesesteaks, the tastiest, juiciest, and now award-winning cheesesteaks in the Low Country. DB's Cheesesteaks delivers, and not just in quality. Download DoorDash, Uber Eats, or your delivery app of choice and have it dropped off at your doorstep. Original chicken, buffalo chicken, even pizza cheesesteaks. Not to mention incredible cheeseburgers, massive hot dogs, and dynamite hoagies. It's all there for you and your family. DB's Cheesesteaks in West Ashley. dbscheesesteaks.com.
What's up, guys? JB. Obviously, things have been kind of crazy with the coronavirus taking over our lives. We're stuck inside with family, finding ways to be creative and probably tapping the liquor cabinet a little bit. If you don't have Patrick Davis's Whiskey Jam in yours, put on your mask and gloves and head to Bottles or Burris Liquor Stores here in Charleston. The Blackberry is my personal favorite on the rocks, but the original Whiskey Jam is Patrick's. So either way, you're winning with Whiskey Jam. WhiskeyJam.com, Patrick Davis.
Honey Baked Ham in Somerville and in Mount Pleasant is your home for catering and lunch. Honey Baked Somerville, owned by former Gamecock right-hander Mike Cisco, is just off the interstate and they are ready to cater to your next business or family meal. Plus, drop in for an incredible sandwiches daily for lunch. The Mount Pleasant location is at the foot of the Ravenel Bridge and always ready to serve and cater to your next meals as well. Plus, delivery is available. Honeybake.com to find your menu today.
As businesses start to open up around South Carolina, we have Ryan Nelson back in here to tell us about Dog and Duck Family Pubs, the 3 locations, and some new hours going on. What's up?
That's right. We now offer indoor dining and patio seating outside. The new hours are Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and then Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. now. Slowly getting back into the normal routine, or so what we think, and we hope everybody comes out and supports local businesses like Dog and Duck.
And you still have family special meals as well?
That's right. Always the family-style meals, and you can always get curbside pickup or carry out. If you're not ready to venture outside yet, we're here for you.
Now, hear this. Who the hell is that?
The JB and Goldwater Show. Live, loud, and online.
All right, 135. Welcome back to the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online. Podbean app was where you listen. You watch on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. Wherever else is where you can find us. All right, thanks to Skylar Meade for joining us just a little while ago, the pitching coach of South Carolina. A very, very detailed conversation with him about the Gamecocks and the draft and the changes in college baseball. Now, our next guest, he might be second today, but he's not second in our hearts. That is our friend Scott Glaze. He is the golf pro up at Stono Ferry. What's up, brother?
What's up? How are you guys?
Yep. Hang on one second here. I was messing. I was messing with some of the settings.
We got to plug you into the
just because we had some issue with the last call here. So then, obviously, knowing me, changing it on the fly and whatnot, I switched something out. And that's not what I want. All right, so I can hear you now.
I got y'all. Y'all got me?
All right, we're going to try one more thing, and now I know we're going to be able to hear you.
Okay. There you go. Hey, Scott.
Hey, what's up, guys?
There you go. All right. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties.
Hey, no worries.
New toys.
All right, so
I love it, though. It's very cool. It's, this is really bringing a new meaning to the term having a face for radio.
Well, I'm going to interrupt both of you. I am an uncle now.
All right.
As of not long ago, maybe a half hour ago, Royce Isaac? I'm not sure. Royce Goldwater has entered the building in Los Angeles.
Congratulations.
And mom Dina Goldwater is doing perfectly well as well.
That is wonderful news. It's a good day. We need good news, don't we, Scott? It's been
right. Good news is always good.
Been a rough year. All right, so look, before we get to golf here, we have to continue everybody's favorite segment, and this has become a tradition with you, so we're going to do this again. What day is today? And we have 3 days on today's National Day calendar. All right. Now, yesterday, you didn't get to celebrate Ballpoint Pen Day with us, but hopefully you're doing that on your own.
Well, I'm not a ballpoint guy. I'm more of a marker type guy. So I'm glad I didn't have to celebrate that.
Well, it's better cellophane tape. Pick your pick.
Yeah, dude, I tell you, I really, there's some great days out there. I'm really missing out.
Today, happy National German Chocolate Cake Day.
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
I'm in.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
That's a good one. That's a good one. My grandma's actually got a recipe that one up that. It's like a drunken chocolate cake and uses vodka, and it is to die for. But German chocolate would be second.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Happy National Corn on the Cob Day.
Solid. I had some last night, in fact.
Are you a pull out the stick of butter and roll the corn in the butter guy? Because I am. Is that what you do?
I'm not a butter guy. I'm gonna just and I just straight up, man.
No salt.
Nothing.
I got to do butter and salt.
Butter, salt, and pepper. But butter on top, let it kind of ooze on down. That's the way I roll it out.
That's right. I don't do corn on the cob with a brand new stick of butter in the butter tray, and then you just turn the corn, roll it through the butter, and then you do the salt and pepper on top so it sticks into the butter. Right, Scott?
Yeah, that's the way to go. That's the veteran corn on the cob move right there.
That's right. And then you go get your toothpick. And finally, it is National Making Life Beautiful Day.
Oh, it's a good one. We try to make life beautiful
every single day.
It's a day dedicated to those who make life beautiful. So let's see. Let me try.
You two make my life.
I appreciate that. I was gonna go. I'm gonna go with the brownie points. So my wife makes life beautiful.
There you go.
I know it's much needed in my household these days. All right, there you go. Happy National Corn on the Cob Day. Happy National German Chocolate Cake Day, and you folks making life beautiful, congratulations to you. Celebrate in style National Making Life Beautiful Day. It is beautiful to see golfers on the golf course right now. It looks like Justin Rose, if I've got this correct, is in the lead, and he's done. He's at 7 under at the Charles Schwab at Colonial. 7 under par, yeah. So he is the leader. The closest American is Bryson DeChambeau, who is at 5 under. Have you been watching today at all?
I have been watching. We've got PJ live in the clubhouse, and so saw a lot of Justin Rose's round, and that is a hot card right there. Let's take 90 some odd days off and go shoot a 63. That's pretty good, especially at a track like Colonial. Got to give a shout out to our superintendent here at Stone Ferry. He actually was the assistant superintendent at Colonial at this golf course before coming and being our head superintendent here. So this tournament is near and dear to his heart, and so I love when this week rolls around, because I hear some of these stories about Colonial and how great it is and all the little intricacies. And he said going into this week, Justin Rose is his pick, former champion, won in 2008. So that's a good pick right now. But Bryson DeChambeau, you brought him up. That guy's an absolute unit. I don't know if you've seen him yet.
Big, man.
Oh my gosh, the guy. He. In the off season, and then going into this whole quarantine and pandemic, he's really focused on bulking up. Videos out there getting his ball speed to the 200s, which is insane. That ball is leaving the club face. So a guy like Brooks Koepka, Rory McIlroy, who are some of the longest drivers on tour, their ball speed is in the range. I mean, maybe they get it close to 180 if they really get it. So Bryson has bulked up. I think he's like 245 pounds, and he said that 270 is not out of the question. I can't wrap my head around it, because that's not a normal golf build. And it was actually detrimental for Tiger when he really started bulking up. So that's been really interesting, and that's been a big talking point today is how jacked Bryson.
Man, 270,
dude. I mean,
270. Yeah.
What is his 270 would be much different, but what is Daly checking in at these days? About 350.
I have no idea.
Oh gosh. Right. That is a little bit different there.
Yeah. Are any of the guys? I know they've talked about the guys being mic'd up. Are they doing that with any of the early coverage right now?
Not with the early coverage. Ricky, let me look here. Ricky is going off at 12:55. Ricky Fowler, which that must be local time, 12:55. He's wearing a mic. He agreed to wear a mic. So that's interesting. And he's the only one in the field. That's interesting to see what that's going to be like. I mean, Ricky's a class act. He's one of the poster boys for the PGA Tour. So that's going to be. I'm very intrigued to hear that. So I'm on the long coverage, probably on Golf Channel coverage when it comes on.
I was pretty disappointed that not more guys will wear it. I mean, like Justin Thomas, who was so good in the match covering it as an analyst, and now he doesn't want to wear a mic for this?
Probably because he saw Phil rip his off. So he said, "The hell with it."
This is the earpiece.
Whatever.
Right.
Gold jacket.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not a techie when it comes to like microphones. But I would think. I got AirPods right here. Like we can make something for that. You would think that would be easy to play with. That you're not having to swing with wires and stuff. So, or at least put maybe microphones in golf bags.
Yeah, it's easy.
That'd be easy because you're by your golf bag the majority of the time. You wouldn't be able to pick up, say what happens on a putting, and that'd be good audio. To have between a caddy and a player. But it's a little shocking. I'll see. Hopefully some guys will come around to it. I think that really just enhance the broadcast, and it would help some of these guys' brand. I mean, you can really grow yourself in golf. You are your own entity. You're your own brand. So. Yeah, to grow yourself and your fandom and your marketability, a microphone certainly could help that. So Ricky knows that. Ricky has made his own brand. I mean, you go to a golf tournament when there are fans, and you see a bunch of juniors, a bunch of kids, I mean, even adults wearing the Ricky Puma gear and then the orange for
Pirates hat.
State. Yeah. That he wears, that flat bill hat that he's wearing every Sunday that's in orange. I mean, he's created the brand. So it does not shock me at all that he's mic'd up and can further enhance that.
Golf Pro at Stone Ferry, stoneandferrygolf.com. It is Scott Glaze, 145 on this Thursday afternoon. A lot of the names in golf are set to go, but pretty much starting right now. A lot of those who most are familiar with, you got Zach Johnson, Bubba Watson literally teeing off here momentarily if they haven't done so already. In about 10 minutes, you're going to have Ricky, Justin Thomas, and Jordan Spieth. We'll also have Kevin Kisner, Sanders Schauffele, and Jim Furyk at that 1:55 tee time. These are Eastern tee times. And then at 2:06, there's Rory, Brooks, and John Rahm. What a group.
That's a group there. That's the top three in the world.
Yeah, a bunch of power in that group. So you get to see those guys: Kuchar, Webb Simpson, and Finau at 2:17. Also at 2:17, Jason Day, Siwoo Kim, Keegan Bradley. So a lot of the name guys in golf set to go. Phil is at 1 under par, unless that has changed in the last minute or so. But through 17, Phil Mickelson was at 1 under. Have you seen him much today? And what does his game look like coming off of what we saw in the match?
Looks a little better than I expected. Phil is wearing these obnoxious sunglasses. I haven't decided if they're obnoxiously cool or if they're obnoxiously ridiculous. There's another guy that's good at his own brand. I mean, but his game, I'm looking at his scorecard right now. He started on the back nine and started out with a birdie on 14, birdie 18, and birdie 1 to get it to 4 under. And then subsequently bogey 3, bogey 7, bogey 9. So not a good way to limp home there to be a 1 under, which is right now tied for 34. With as deep of a field as this is, full field, he could be in jeopardy of making the cut now 1 under. So that finish is not great for him. I want as I'm looking at the leaderboard, shout out to Tom Lehman. Tom Lehman probably in his mid-50s. Former Open Championship winner. Yep. Is at 3 under. Tied for 15th right now. But he's a Fort Worth native. So that's probably why he is in the field. But hanging with the young guns, Tom Lehman. But Phil, there's a term that you throw around on PGA Tour and in golf circles, which is horses for courses. Certain horses for certain courses. This is one of those for Phil. Phil's a past winner here, so he's got a lot of good mojo when it comes to Colonial, which is a difficult test. That bodes the same for Justin Rose, who has won here, and we'll see how Jordan Spieth is going to do. Teeing off in about 10 minutes. Former champion here. Actually, I got it somewhere on my phone. I saw a great stat. He is the leader since I think 2014 in strokes gained at Colonial. Strokes gained is a stat basically measuring how much better you are than the rest of the field, or the majority of the field. And in the past 6 years, he's the best at Colonial. His game has not been very good recently, so maybe he can conjure up some good memories from Colonial and turn it around. Especially playing with his two buddies, playing with JT and Ricky the first 2 days.
I'm glad you brought up Spieth here, because that's what I wanted to get to, because he's comfortable on this course, and he's comfortable obviously in Texas, and now we've had this long layoff, and his game isn't what it was a few years ago. This could be a chance, maybe. I mean, we're all rooting for it, right? I mean, the more guys at the top of their game, the better the overall product is. This could be the opportunity for Spieth here to kind of move back towards that group where JT already is.
Right. It's been an interesting the way Spieth ascended to winning 3 major championships, and it was shocking. I mean, he was a tremendous ball striker, a tremendous putter. There was a little bit of streakiness in it. I always sensed that he was streaky, and at some point that they were going to be valid. That it wasn't just going to be a skyrocket to the top his whole career. He hit one of those valleys. His ball striking has gone way down. Ball striking stat, and subsequently you're hitting the ball further from the hole. You're not going to make as many putts. You're going to miss more green, so on and so forth. And he has fallen down to I think around 50 or 60th in the world. Meanwhile, at the same time, Justin Thomas was kind of the guy with all the potential that wasn't really broken through yet. At the same time, Spieth started going down. Justin Thomas now skyrocketed to be, I think he's number 4 in the world, and is one of the more recognizable players on tour, and kind of took that spot from Spieth. So it'd be great for Spieth to get back up there. It's tough though. His golf game, he's really been battling with his golf swing. I'm not sure why. He had all the makings to be one of the all-time greats, and still can be. But golf is such a fickle game, so mental, and sometimes you might not get it back. And I think the remainder of this year and probably next year are going to be huge for Spieth, because now we're seeing about a 2-year decline, or at least year and a half, and we'll see if he can reach that potential that we all thought he had.
One other note on today's leaderboard: Dustin Johnson through the first round. He is at 1 over. I want to fast forward to next week though, because Koepka's going to be in Hilton Head next week. Rory's going to be in Hilton Head next week, amongst others, and then we got a little birdie whispering in our ears yesterday that there was a yacht called the Privacy that is owned by Tiger Woods that was headed to dock at St. Simons Island, Georgia. It looks like Tiger may be preparing to play here in the state of South Carolina 1 week from today. Generally, right, Scott, he gets wherever he's going about a week, maybe a week and a half before he's set to tee off. So have you heard anything else on what we'll see Tiger Woods close to home next Thursday?
I've not heard anything else. I think that's a pretty safe assumption there. If he is in the area, I know that's appealing for him, because he can stay on his yacht down there at Harbor Town, and then just kind of have his own camp set up, which would be good for him. He has not played at the Heritage, I think, since 1999.
Wow.
But right. So historically, for Tiger's game, Harbor Town awful course for the former Tiger Woods, the former Tiger that would spray the ball, or prone to spray the ball all over the place. The modern day Tiger Woods is a lot more accurate, especially off the tee. So this could really bode well if he does play. I think he could have success here, where in the past he would skip the tournament, A, because it was the week after the Masters, B, because the course just did not suit his eye. So I really hope he does play. But above all of that, how big of a stud do you have to be for someone to be tracking the whereabouts of your yacht to see if you're going to play in a golf tournament? I don't know. We've never seen that before. Never seen that again. I mean, you got to be pretty good at what you do for people to care of that.
It's like when a college football team's looking for a new coach You can track the airplane, like where it's gone and who they're going after.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when I saw that pop up on Twitter, I thought, yeah, it's typical. Tiger Woods, somebody's tracking that yacht. I mean, probably Tiger and MJ. We've made that comparison before. The two of them. You're a pretty bad man if somebody's tracking you.
Did you
like
see
that.
the fish that Jordan caught? It was part of a fishing tournament.
Well, did
right?
he catch it or his boat reeled it in? Right.
Well, he was on the boat.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he hooked it.
All I'm saying, his boat hooked a huge fish.
442 pounds.
Uh-huh.
I did see something that said he harassed and trash talked that swordfish or whatever it was enough until the fish finally just hopped in the boat itself.
That sounds right. So if Tiger hasn't played that course in 21 years, and we got about probably 3 minutes left here, Scott. If he played that course in essentially 20 plus years, and I don't know that he even gone down there to play, outside actually playing in the tournament itself, the Heritage. Well, what does he need to do to prepare and ready himself for the golf course?
I can see if he does commit to playing the event, he's going to wait until the last minute probably to say if he is or isn't going to play. If he, by tomorrow, says, yes, I'm playing next week, he'll probably spend a little time out there on Saturday and Sunday, play full practice round or two. Tiger really condenses his practice nowadays due to his health and his back. Usually gets out early in the morning, plays 9 holes, does some short game work, does some driving range work, and then leaves for the day. So I'll be interested to see, since he hasn't played the course, it's tougher to scout the course, I think. And kind of going back to Dustin Johnson and his struggles today, what's interesting to see today, it's going to be interesting to see this weekend and in the coming weeks, what guys really were grinding during the time off and what guys kind of took it more of a vacation. Dustin, from what I saw today, looked really rusty. Justin Rose, on the other hand, looks really good. Like he's really been working on his game. Same with DeChambeau, clearly with his fitness and with his game. So I have no doubt the Tiger's been working on his game, and it's pretty good. He could prove us wrong. But that is another little tidbit to take away from the next couple of weeks to see who's firing all cylinders, took this as a chance to really accelerate themselves in this accelerated season, or took it as more of a vacation and are now having to play catch up as we kind of sprint to the finish line now.
Real quick, final question here. What are the rules, or are there any rules on being able to play courses prior to the tournament? Like if Tiger got there 3 weeks ago, could he just play every single day down on Hilton Head? I've never understood how that works.
Yeah, he could. I mean, especially once you. Right. Yeah, that's right. See what their availability is. They might not be able to squeeze them in until about 2:30 or so. Right. But no, I mean that's the luxury of being a tour player. You can call up a course and they're going to get you on, especially if you're one of these bigger names. The only thing is, if this was a normal scenario, he wouldn't be able to get on the golf course, but maybe once or twice weeks prior, just because of the preparation that the course is doing, either between maintenance or setup, or the course like Harbortown is still open a few weeks before the Heritage. So he'd be on it with the general public, and that's something that the Tiger certainly wouldn't do.
Scott Glaze, StoneO'FerryGolf.com. It's one of the finest courses you'll find on the coast of South Carolina. If you go there, you can take a virtual tour of every hole that they have out there, and you can set up some lessons with Scotty like I probably need to do. Go to StoneO'FerryGolf.com for a whole lot more. Follow them on Twitter. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram, everywhere in between. That's where you can find the fine folks in Hollywood, South Carolina. StoneO'FerryGolf.com. Scotty, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate it. Looking forward to wrapping up this tournament this weekend, and then next week we'll be able to focus on the state of South Carolina as the Heritage comes back home. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks. Big week next week. Excited golf back. We'll chat with y'all next week.
You got it, brother.
Man. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. There you go. Scott Glaze on Twitter. Really good. Scott, I've told him 1,000 times. I'm like, you need to give up that golf pro crap and
crap.
Quit trying to make the tour, which I hope he does. But he just needs to turn to the Golf Channel, and don't forget about us and just be a analyst. He's so good.
He is.
It's so good.
He's very, very good.
He says all these things. He's good because, like, I'll think, I need to ask him this. He answers the question. And then before I even get there, now what am I going to ask him?
Yeah, it's fun. Certain athletes, coaches, whatnot, are just natural. They're just natural when they start to talk about it as an analyst. And that's, when we have him on, that's essentially what he is.
Yeah, he's pretty good at that stuff. Based on 247 Sports, final parting shot here before we go, the blue chip ratio for 2020, teams who signed more blue chip recruits than non, over the last 4 classes, it gives you a ratio, a percentage that you can win the national championship based on the recruits you signed over the last 4 classes.
Quite a formula. Okay.
Yeah. That would put Clemson 7th. Does anybody care? Not me. It gives Alabama an 83% chance to win it, Georgia an 82, Ohio State an 80, Texas 64, LSU 63, Oklahoma and Clemson also 63 alongside Florida, and then Michigan at 59%.
Wow. So they're 7th on the list, but they're like 20% behind Alabama.
People it's summer, man. They come up with all this stuff, Thanks to Skylar Meade and Scott Glaze. Very good dudes at what they do. We really appreciate it. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening today, and to Darren for all his continued hard work as a host, a producer, and a tech.
I like being a tech geek.
Yeah, I know
it's
you
fun.
You have fun with that stuff. Congratulations on being an uncle.
Yes, Baby awesome. Royce. What's up, dude?
Congratulations. Have a terrific Thursday afternoon. We're back tomorrow at noon on the JB and Goldwater Show.